Arbor, Brandon Peters has been the talk of the week. We finally saw him play some memorable reps last week in a win over Rutgers, and now Michigan faces a key question. Does it ride with the redshirt freshman quarterback through the ups and downs the rest of the season, or will Jim Harbaugh alternative between Peters and fifth-year senior John O'Korn? This week's Ask Aaron tackles your Michigan football-related questions on Peters, Ambry Thomas' work on offense and Saturday's game against Minnesota under the lights. Let's get to it. Does Brandon Peters have a live arm? Can he complete the deep passes? At Jones81 A. Henry, it's one of the reasons Peters had his name thrown into the quarterback discussion last spring. His arm strength and accuracy are what impressed in high school, and have since followed him to Michigan. He, by all accounts, has the best arm among the quarterbacks on the roster. But translating that accuracy from practice to a game is a different beast. Practicing on the same field, in the same environment, against the same players can get repetitive. And, keyword here, comfortable. It's vastly different from having to go out onto the field at Michigan Stadium, or elsewhere, and do the same thing. Remember, Peters is only a freshman. That 20-yard touchdown pass to Chris Evans will tighten up the more he plays. It's going to take some time, but Peters will get there, provided he plays here down the stretch. Jim Harbaugh talked about Brandon Peters taking the QB job and running with it. What does he need to see to know? At Andrew Berry's, Harbaugh could have came out and declared Peters the starter this week. Everyone knows it's happening. But to his credit, he left the door open for Peters and O'Korn. Peters to show that Saturday was more than just a fluke, that he can manage the offense, move it down the field and play mistake-free. If he duplicated what he did last week in practice, he'll be fine. Harbaugh isn't expecting some grand improvement, or some miraculous talent he hasn't seen from Peters yet. Just consistency, in his play and demeanor. As for O'Korn, all signs this week indicated that he took the move as well as he could. Leaving the door open for O'Korn keeps him tuning during practice, in case Peters goes through a rough patch in a game and needs to sit. The last thing Harbaugh and the coaching staff need to do at this point is alienate a fifth-year senior who knows he's on his last leg. With Wilton Speight still out, and likely out for the remainder of the season, Peters and O'Korn are the only active quarterbacks with any game experience. And keep in mind, Peters hasn't even played a full game yet. What do you think the main reason is for the instability between Peters and the coaching staff? At Ngo Josh: not sure it's instability, Josh, but more so hesitancy. Harbaugh has been in those shoes before. He knows what's going through a redshirt freshman's head, especially at a big-time program like Michigan. It's almost like he feels as if he has to handle Peters with kid gloves. One wrong move and you risk ruining them. I think it's one of the reasons we didn't see him play against Penn State. A bad game there could have ruined Peters' confidence, and that's the last thing you want when he's supposed to be the guy next year. Will we see Ambry Thomas on offense tomorrow? Will Kareem Walker get more carries than Ty Isaac? Will we see more of the fullback passes and passes to Chris Evans? At frontman jobs, that's more than one question, but my answers go like this: no. No. Yes. It's funny you ask about Thomas, because turns out, he wasn't supposed to tell us about working with offense. It was being kept a secret, and now that it's out I suspect we're a ways off from actually seeing jet sweeps to Thomas. I applied an asterisk to my second no because it all depends on whether Isaac actually plays. He left the game against Rutgers last week and went straight to the locker room. Harbaugh did not provide an update this week, leaving the jury out whether Isaac will be available to play. If he is, and he's fine, then Isaac will most likely get more carries than Walker. He's been running well the last few weeks and looked more like early season Ty Isaac last Saturday. To answer your third question, I suspect as long as Peters isn't there, we'll see more of the passes to fullbacks and running backs. Passing game coordinator Pep Hamilton said earlier this week they've been working on that with Chris Evans for some time. It'll come down to matchups. If Evans can find a mismatch and beat his guy down the field, look for Peters to try it again. Will Michigan learn from its last game in the rain? At Matt D. Point, I think it has, Matt. Players and coaches this week spoke of finding their identity on offense, and it revolves around the run game. Michigan has rushed for more than 250 yards in 2 of its last 3 games, including a season high.